G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. Grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, Milo, beer, wine, brandy, whiskey, whatever your weapon of choice is. Today I want to talk a little bit more of photography philosophy. I've been a street photographer since I was 14 years of age, so over 35 years. And in those 35 plus years, I have taken so many photographs with people and other types of sensitive subject matter. So in this video, I want to discuss how critical and how important it is to have humanity and empathy when photographing basically anywhere that is not inside your own home or inside a studio. We're in the world and we have to consider all sorts of different parameters. Now, I'm not exactly into the tips and tricks videos, but I do think this is a really super important part of your photographic arsenal is understanding and being aware, being empathic of your surroundings when at times you might be photographing in sensitive situations. For example, empathy and humanity are very subjective subjects. We derive our humanity and our empathy from both our DNA and our personalities are defined by all of the experiences we've had in our lives up to this point in time. So the bottom line is that out of 1 billion people who might be registered to watch a video on YouTube, chances are there is no one single person who's had the same set of shared experiences, and thus there is no one single person that has the same belief system around empathy and humanity. So what I'm saying here today is more of a guide. It's not to be taken literally with every word, with every step. But these are really just thinking points, talking points for you and your fellow photographers, your friends, talking points with yourself and your conscience as to why you photograph, why are you out there, what's important, and what should be the cost. And we can add to empathy and humanity, we can also add environmental behaviour as well. I have found a lot of photographers that I've met actually care a great deal about the world that we live in. Now, perhaps not all of us, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but many of us have deep concerns about the world that we live in, the fact that it's still going to be here in 50 or 100 years' time, and that it's still habitable in a level of lifestyle that we are used to today. So why is empathy and humanity important? Well, we can find ourselves in various parts of the world in situations where we might have a great shot, but do we take it, or do we consider the humanity of the people we are confronted by? Now, if you're a photojournalist, your job is to go and record these things to share them with the rest of the world. So I'm not really talking about photojournalists where ultimately we hope that the news that they deliver is going to bring a positive outcome for the people that I'm thinking of when I'm talking about this. But let's say we're traveling in a third world, and we don't even need to be in a third world. We could be traveling here in Melbourne, in New York, and in London. And for example, we find people that live rough. They live on the streets. Life is tough. Life is hard. I've often been confronted with these types of potential images, and I have more than once, probably on 10 or 20 occasions, let these types of images pass without even taking the shot, because I feel it lacks in me my empathy and my humanity. That's just how I feel about it. And by way of saying this, I do not pass this on to anyone else. I can imagine some people are out there going, I really want to tell and share these people's stories. And the best way to shed light upon it is to do it by capturing them. The choice is yours, and you might have a better story to tell than I have. Another place where empathy and humanity are important is when photographing people who are underage, and that varies in countries as well, under 18, under 16, and so on. in my photographic career for as long as I can remember, I have simply steered away from photographing anybody who is not an adult that are out in public. In some countries, there are actually laws around this. This is where the empathy comes in. We don't need to have laws. We just need to make a decision around, do we feel it's appropriate? Would we feel the same if the shoe was on the other foot? I've got kids, and it makes me uncomfortable when a stranger gets in their face and starts taking photographs of them. I think it's appropriate for us all to have humanity and empathy when we're thinking about photographing other people's children in public places. There is also opportunity for humanity and empathy to come into play when it comes to crisis, when it comes to things happening in the community, where sometimes, and this has happened in some very famous images in the world, where we have the choice to either take the photo or intervene and make a difference in what's going on. Now, I don't have a clear or strong opinion about this. I think it's a very complicated subject. Some might say that documenting what's going on will help after the fact and to prove and to show and to illustrate. And then others could equally argue, yes, that's great, but in the meantime, the person is hurt, hit, injured, whatever is going on. Again, we have to apply our humanity and our empathy in these situations. And look, it does happen. I've been in situations where people are literally being harassed or attacked, and you've got to decide, do you want to document it or do you want to get involved? Getting involved has its own sets of issues, and depending where you live in the world, it can be more and less dangerous. Perhaps as a young man, I was more likely to get involved with someone else's crisis than I am now as a much more mature person who has kids to worry about as well. But being out there in the world, walking around, documenting wildlife, landscape, cityscape, birds, whatever we do, it does mean that we can end up in some situations where we rub shoulders with the general public and we can see things unfold. And to end this little thought piece, the environment. We've been through COVID-19 and we're really still basically experiencing COVID-19, and it could be another year or two really before, maybe longer, before the world settles back into the new normal, because I don't think we'll go back to the old normal ever again. There will be a new normal. Will we travel as much? For example, I would love to go to Iceland. A lot of my Northern Hemisphere counterparts have gone to Iceland and created beautiful content. It seems amazing to me. But there is one thing that always pops into my head when I go, I want to travel here and I want to travel there. And that is the environmental impact of travel. It's a real problem for me. And as the world keeps heading in the direction that it currently is, and we have a brain like Bill Gates telling us we have until 2050 to get to zero emissions, otherwise we're in trouble. Well, Bill Gates has got a big brain, and he is obviously a man who has made a great deal of wealth. You would think by default that he would not be interested in slowing down economies for the sake of the environment. I suppose what I'm trying to say here is if someone like Bill Gates is going to all the trouble of telling us we've only got 30 years to go to get to zero, well, I think we should listen. He was the man that told us that there was going to be a global pandemic sometime soon and we better prepare. And I think it was about 5 or 7 years ago that he made that statement. Well, here he is talking about this, and I mean, we don't need Bill Gates to tell us, it's just he is such an icon of technology and what's going on the planet. I think we need to listen. There's plenty of other people telling us as well, of course. So as photographers, do we just chase the dream shot at all costs? Or do we think of the humanity of it? Ultimately, the Earth as humans live on it today is in extraordinarily fine balance. Today, the Earth is supporting a population of 8 billion people. We need to feed them. We need to make sure they have good sanitation and roofs over their heads. And with the ever increasing extreme weather that we're experiencing, all of this puts pressure on this finely balanced ecosystem. It's easy to say this has all happened before. Yes, it has. The weather has, and the carbon has, and the temperature has gone up and down. All of that is true. But not with the population that has high expectations that it does today. And this population has just exploded, and the expectations have just exploded in the last 100 or 200 years. Our humanity is about looking after our fellow humans. What have we got to think about? Well, I'm not saying anything specific here. I'd still love to travel. I still want to do all those things. But maybe when you travel, buy the carbon offsets. Costs an extra $25 on your ticket, and you've gone and planted a couple of trees. That's just one example. I will leave it up to you for now to look into how do you offset your travel. As photographers and as human beings, we have to continue to be in touch with our humanity and our empathy. It is absolutely critical. It helps us decide what our subject matter is. It helps us decide what to and what not to photograph. It also helps us decide where we might go and what lengths we will go to get a shot. I do believe there are some shots out there that are not worth the lengths that people go to. And just as a little side footnote, which may not be relevant to most of us, but there could be the odd 1 in 10,000 person that it is, some people actually put themselves in pretty serious danger to get shots. They will end up in trouble, they will require rescue, and then sometimes that rescue puts others in danger. Should we be doing this? Please let me know, how does empathy and humanity affect your photographic experience? Tell me of any occasions when you've taken a breath and said, no, I'm not going to take this shot. I would love to hear about those sort of examples. I know I'm not the only person out there who puts my camera up to my eye and then goes, nah, I can't take this shot, it's not right. This is just another little video sitting in our psychology of photography subset of videos, which is something that's critically important to me because I actually think, and I do think this, so please don't flame on me in the comments, I think I'm more of a thinker, I'm more of a philosopher than I am actually a photographer. And photography is just an outlet for what I think about. Please let me know if you're somebody like that too. Fantastic to see you. I'd love to see you again. If this is your first time here, please do subscribe. That'd be amazing. Please share, please like, and if you'd like to see over 300 videos right now, you can just look down there. All right, bye for now.